If you like what you see, hit that like button, hit that subscribe button. And there was some big news this week. And
not that news. Coming for you.
We found out the other day about the death of Hulk Hogan. It's wild. There's a lot of people have a lot of emotions.
The good, sure. I mean, Hulk Hogan was the biggest character in pro wrestling history, right? I mean, he was responsible for the boom in the 1980s when it gets right down to it, right? Vince McMahon and Hulk Hogan, WrestleMania. There was no bigger attraction in pro wrestling. Although there was a lot of negative stuff that, my man producer Joe is going to talk about here a little bit too. I do have to say, even if you just didn't count that, me personally, I was never really a Hogan guy growing up. Like, I liked Hogan as a character. I thought he was an attraction, but I was more into Jimmy Snuka, who also might have had a bit of a background and some shady stuff.
A lot of good guys back then.
Yeah, the Ultimate Warrior. Huh? But, no, I mean, at the end of the day, but even I could not deny that, like, Hulk Hogan was the biggest attraction of the 80s. And then basically reinvented himself, again as a heel in the 90s with the NWO, and that became the catalyst, really for the Monday Night Wars.
And then reinvented himself again as a reality TV star.
Well, yeah, he did that.
And then he went into some home recordings, too.
Yeah, there was that. There was the stuff with, was that Bubba Love Sponge and his girlfriend? Yeah. Made a lot of money off of that, though, didn't he?
Yeah. He did make a lot of money, but it arguably
we should do a show.
Killed the way a lot of people looked at him. And Randy with a great point here. He made wrestling what it is today.
I mean,
if you're a wrestling fan now, you know of Hulk Hogan. Mm-hmm. You might have been a fan at one time or another, but he affected the business that you watched.
Oh, yeah. Yeah. There's a lot of people that talked about this yesterday that said, whether you like him or not, we're probably not here in the capacity that we are if it wasn't for Hulk Hogan.
Yeah, 100%. And we've talked about the good. We've talked about his legacy. His legacy definitely has, there's some tough aspects of it. Obviously. So what was the first time that Hogan took a hit in your eyes? Because for me, it was just hearing about the sex tape, because it's like, that's the last setting I want to think about Hulk Hogan in.
For me, it's more some of the racist comments he made.
Oh, I was going to get there.
Yeah, but I mean, that's when it really took a hit from me. The sex stuff, hey, I'm not here to kink shame you, brother. You want to go mess around with your friend's girlfriend or whatever you guys are doing. I don't know, but.
It was really, getting to the racism and the way that it was handled, too. Because it was almost like brushed aside. And then when he was talking to his son while he was in prison, we heard the continuation of using that language. Mm-hmm. And then there was a couple years ago when he was brought to WWE, and there was that talk backstage. And the main story that a lot of people got from it was more that he was sad that he got caught, as opposed to, being conciliatory for what he did. So it's tough. And I've thought about Hogan and Flair in a very similar way, that these are two of the biggest wrestlers of all time. If you're a fan of wrestling, you're a fan of them. But then over the years, you've had to deal with a diminishing legacy. Now, did Hogan do more to his legacy than Flair has done to his? Like, do you look at Hogan?
Yeah. I'll answer this way. I think one thing about Flair, although not perfect, I think he's been a lot more open about the fact that he's not a perfect individual, and a lot more open about that he's been making mistakes for a long, long time. I think the issue with Hogan, when you got around a lot of the racist stuff, was, I think it was Mark Henry that talked about this too, and I could be wrong, that, he gave Hogan an opportunity to go speak with him, to some locker rooms and stuff like that, and bring him out with him, and Hogan always declined. Want to do that. And I don't think it was because necessarily that Hogan would say, I think Hogan just didn't want to be that guy that admitted, hey, I made it. He'd rather just run away from it and not face that. And that's very difficult when you're in that much of a public eye.
Yeah, and you look back to how he handled the steroids thing with Arsenio, and just Hogan over the years getting this reputation as someone that bends the truth, that doesn't always give it to you right down the middle. So
absolutely,
it's a huge loss loss for the industry.
Yes.
You know, we'd be remiss not to say anything about it, even though, like, you not as much a fan, me once a huge fan that felt, like, hugely let down. At least now we can just go back, watch the matches, you know.
And I mean, above all, too, our condolences to his family, friends, and anyone that was affected by this. Obviously, we know personally what it's like to have loss, so our condolences to them. And yeah, I will say this, all aside, last night, when, you know, people were talking about it, you know, whether it's positive or negative, I was kind of in the mood to go back and watch some 1980s, like, you know, SummerSlam, watch some 89 SummerSlam and watch Hogan and Savage team up. And then it made me a little sad because I saw an interview segment, Hogan, Savage, Elizabeth, and Mean Gene. And I'm like, oh, they all passed away. Yeah.
Please, if you like what you see, hit that like button, hit that share button, hit that subscribe button. Get out to an Outcast Wrestling Revolution show.
Watch some New Heights Wrestling on YouTube.